It's mind-blowing to think about all the incredible technologies humanity has made so far regarding space exploration, like landing humans on the moon. It still sounds unbelievable, right? And we think NASA always loves to be on top of the list, as now it's working on something that will definitely make you say, wow. So NASA is now working really hard to take technology to the next level by supplying water to future moon bases. Sounds freaking impossible, right? And the only question on everyone's mind is, how exactly does NASA plan to transport water from Earth to the moon? Well, the answer involves cutting-edge technology and scientific know-how that would make even the most seasoned astronauts head spin. So, if you're as excited as we are to learn more about how NASA plans to supply water to the moon base, you're in the right place. Buckle up, guys, and get ready for a deep dive into the incredible science and engineering behind this awe-inspiring project. There have been several researches that show that the Earth has, in one way or the other, helped the moon by supplying water to its base. Well, the proper research from scientists denied that submission. However, the Earth does not provide water to the moon base, as transferring water from the Earth planet to the moon base is speculated. Still, there have been several proofs that admit the presence of water on the moon itself. In past years, multiple studies have discovered water ice in the eternally clouded-over regions of the moon's poles. The water on the moon is understood to have emanated from numerous origins, comprising comets, asteroids, and solar wind. It is thought to have been transmitted over billions of years through the effects of water-rich bodies and successive interchanges with the moon's surface. Well, that's just a start to debunk the fact that the Earth supplies the moon with water. But then, let's get deeply into it. NASA has a massive and uncontrollable movement plan to supply water to the moon base. Many believe this mission is already dead at arrival, but what do you think about it? Is it possible? If yes, then how would they achieve that? Or let's put it this way, is it mission impossible? We can't be sure yet. NASA has planned to send some of their members, the astronaut, on a mission to the moon in 2024-2025, with an impacting mission to bring to existence the first lunar science base in connection to the moon. Well, this is not just exciting news. Anyways, because to make this happen, humanity first needs to live well, and for such to occur, they need enough water to sustain them. The astronaut has some shocking news for the moon explorer. According to their research, they opined that the moon might carry more water on it than ever expected, and may come from the Earth's planet. It can be seen that before now, the water that usually sustains the moon happens within its base. But NASA is on the plan to support the moon with water from the Earth's planet. It's crazy. Well, on listening to Professor Gunther Kletechka of the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute speak on the plans of NASA, he said, as NASA's Artemis crew is planning to build a base camp on the lunar's south pole, the water ions that originated many years ago on Earth can be used in the astronauts' life support system. For Artemis's moon base camp, NASA has deduced that the structure will barely begin at the lunar south pole because scientists already think a lot of frozen water is hidden beneath the surface. Discussing further the plans of NASA to generate water from the Earth to sustain the moon, they observed that a solar wind carries powerful winds emanating from the sun, which might have taken the star's hydrogen and helium atoms to the moon, inferring with excess asteroid dust to produce water. In further research, they identified things about lunar gravitational data made by NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The survey shows that there could be a third route to decipher lunar water, and one that could account for at least 3,500 additional cubic kilometers, 840 cubic miles, of water at the lunar poles. Well, the fact is that the hydrogen and oxygen ions found in Earth's upper environment might have once fled and fallen onto the lunar surface, as the moon ratified through the Earth planet's magnetosphere. Around this region, Earth's atmospheric ions have a reasonably high opportunity of being staved off, and if the moon is situated there in the line of fire, the repelled atoms would have directly shot onto the glowing orb. Since the moon doesn't have a self-magnetosphere, in turn, it would have had to repel those particles back to Earth, but it can't, but has been compelled to accept the hydrogen and oxygen into its surface. Of course, the moon is like a shower of water ions stimulated from the Earth, said Kletechka. The astronauts had that once on the surface, these ions would have included forming lunar permafrost. Through different geological processes, This frost could have been triggered below the lunar surface as time passed. It'd have turned to liquid water. Well, this is the plan so far on sustaining the moon base with water from the Earth. If these plans by NASA successfully work out, then it will be great anyways. Why? Not only will the astronaut and the moon explorer have enough water to survive, but the Lunar Space Station can also use it for fuel and gas. We also had a researcher who spoke about NASA's plan to supply water to the moon base, and he talked about lunar missions. It's easy though, and we believe it to be a reality very soon. We can also make it work by sending spacecraft to the moon that carry water reserves from Earth. The spacecraft could deliver water in the form of ice or liquid water for various purposes, such as drinking, irrigation, or fuel production on the moon. However, it takes several processes, and we are there to make it work. Then we believe that from the preceding, NASA can also invent a water delivery system that could specialize in transporting water from Earth to the moon. These might involve advanced spacecraft, or even dedicated lunar supply missions that carry water as their primary cargo. So you remember these questions? How will the moon base get water from the Earth? It's simple, according to what we have explained above. It will occur in the solar wind, specifically on protons emitted by the sun, constantly bombarding the surface. Some of these protons will interfere with oxygen molecules in the lunar soil to produce water for the moon base. From the investigation made by Viper, Volatile's investigating polar exploration rover, that a robot has been invented which will arrive at the lunar South Pole in 2024 in search of water. However, if unfortunately, the water on the moon turns out to be a non-starter amidst several studying and investigation, the NASA's Lunar Initiative head Sir Bussey observed that the only way to establishing a lunar base camp would move to lower the cost of rocketing payloads between Earth and the moon. Everything needed to construct and supply the base from Earth to the moon would need to be much cheaper and more feasible. So you see, the NASA plans can work, but until then, let's see how that will pass. Well, NASA has been exploring the possibility of extracting and utilizing water resources on the moon, and this time, they are on a mission to supply the moon with water from the Earth. It seems pretty impossible and challenging to do. Still, from our video, we have described and explained the various ways and plans for NASA's intentions and the scientific method to supply the moon with water from the Earth for the first time. It can be a fantastic innovation and an excellent plan that can only keep the Earth a few miles away from the moon. Now, what do you think about NASA's plan?